Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. I hope my voice is audible to everyone. If you can hear me clearly and loudly, if audio and video is fine, just write it in the chat box so that we can begin with the session. Okay, so I think the audio is. So now let us begin with the session. So welcome to another session of Perspective 360 degree where we do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. And if you are somebody who is preparing for exams like RBI, NABARD, etc., then this exam is definitely going to help you with answer writing practice for the descriptive paper of phase 2. So let us begin with the session. And basically, somebody is saying my voice is echoing. Is it so? Is everyone else facing the same problem? Is it fine now, Manish? Can you check and verify? Okay, fine. So let us begin with the session. And today we are going to talk about another chapter with respect to economic survey, which is agriculture and food management, the sector of the future. So this one. So basically this chapter is relevant as far as your examination is concerned. I know that for the RBI students, this chapter I would say has importance up to a limited extent. But for the NABARD students, I would say this chapter is extremely important. Fine, because a lot of question, a lot of information is present as a part of this chapter, be it value addition, examples, data and arguments, whatever it is. So this chapter is important for NABARD, but for the RBI, it is also important, but as I said, up to a limited extent only. Fine. So in this session, we are firstly going to talk about the issues that the agriculture sector is facing, as mentioned in the economic survey. Then we will talk about the different government interventions, the interventions that have been taken by the government in order to solve these above issues. At the end of this session, I'm also going to provide you a data sheet. Fine, a small data sheet, or you can say a data summary. And this data summary, I would say, is hugely important for the NABARD students. Why? Because it contains all the data with respect to the economic survey. Fine, as far as the agriculture sector is concerned. Fine, in reference to this chapter. So it includes all that important data. So I would suggest you to please make a note of that data and you can add it wherever it is applicable as far as your syllabus is concerned. Fine. So this is something that we are going to see at the end. Very briefly, we will talk about the budget also, because budget also contains some information regarding agriculture. So few points we are going to talk regarding the budget. Fine. So that is going to be the agenda for today's session. So if you are somebody who is new to this Perspective 360 initiative, let me just tell you that over here, firstly, we are going to give you an expected question and we are going to discuss this expected question. And once this session is done, you have to write the answer of this expected question in the comment box and it will be evaluated by our team within 48 hours. Fine. Within 48 hours, it will be evaluated and you can also compare your answer with the answers of fellow aspirants. So that is the idea regarding Perspective 360 series. Now, this is the expected question for today, which is discuss the key issues facing the agriculture sector in India. How have government interventions addressed these issues? So you have to write the answer for 600 words, which carry 15 marks as a part of it. Now moving forward, let us try to see the answer to this question. So first of all, let us go through the introduction. So as per the economic survey, India's agriculture sector has exhibited resilience, growing at an average annual rate of 5% from fiscal year 2017 to fiscal year 23, despite facing several challenges. So this is the data that we have taken from the economic survey only. Find where that the agriculture sector has been showing an average annual growth, average annual rate of 5%. Now this growth can be attributed to favorable weather conditions, improved agricultural practices and government initiatives including higher crop prices, increased access to credits, and strong focus on sustainability and productivity. All this line, all the information I have taken from the economic survey only. Now, this introduction is very much limited, I know. Apart from this, if you want to add some other information, I will be, as I said, I will be providing you a data summary also. At the end of this session, you can choose to write that data wherever it is relevant. So you can add that also as a part of this introduction. Fine. So this is a brief introduction as a part of the answer to this question. Now let us move forward. Let us see the issues that are there with respect to the Indian agriculture. So the first issue as highlighted in the economic survey is regarding the soil degradation. So the survey says that the soil degradation is a significant challenge, especially due to the decline in organic carbon levels. We know the importance of carbon as far as the growth of the crop is concerned, and economic survey says that many soils in India, they lack essential micronutrients, for example the boron, the iron and sulfur, which are very important for the growth and development of the plant. So they are a lot of areas are there where the soil is lacking such type of micronutrients, which basically impact the fertility as well as the overall agriculture sustainability. Now moving on to the next part, basically the implication is that this degradation hampers the crop yields. It affects the crop yields, which makes it difficult for the farmers to achieve the desired productivity. So this is something as highlighted as far as the soil degradation is concerned, basically the issue related to the lack of essential micronutrients. The next is the impact of climate change. Now here the economic survey talks about some important data. So the economic survey talks about the vulnerability of the small scale farmers due to the climate change. So it says that 85% of the India's farmers have small plots under 2 hectares. And whenever there is climate change, we know that the agriculture sector is very much sensitive to climate. So whenever there is any kind of, weather uncertainty, so what does it lead to? It impacts the farmers. But out of all the farmers, the small scale farmers, basically these 85% of the farmers, they are impacted up to a huge extent because their capacity to grow the crop is very much limited, and henceforth the income that they are generating with the help of this land, that is also very much limited. So that is the reason when the land gets affected, when the limited small size land get affected, they basically face. Apart from that, economic survey also says that studies show that an increase of 2 degree in annual temperature could lead to an 8 to 12% decline in productivity by 2099 due to heat stress. So this is, I would say, a long term projection that has been I would say made by the economic survey, that it could lead to an 8 to 12% decline in the productivity because of the increase in 2 degrees centigrade in annual temperature. So this is something I would say is an significant impact of the climate change. After that, the next point is related to the water scarcity. So the economic survey says that despite improvement in the irrigation facilities in many states, still only 55% of India's net zone areas are irrigated. So you can see the gap that is there, the mismatch that is there with respect to the disparities. So for example, it says that the states like Punjab, the states like Haryana, the states like UP and Telangana, they have good irrigation coverage. They have high irrigation coverage up to 98%. Whereas the states like Jharkhand and Assam, they lag behind less than 20% irrigation system. So you can see that there is a huge gap, there is a huge mismatch and disparity across different states as far as the irrigation system is concerned. Then it also talks about the rain-fed agriculture. Rain-fed agriculture, basically it is a type of farming that depends on natural rainfall for irrigation rather than using the controlled irrigation systems. So basically it says that as far as the rain-fed agriculture is concerned, it says that the significant portion of Indian agriculture, it remains reliant on the rain-fed system only. Fine. Now the problem with rain is that the crops are very much sensitive to rain. If the rain is less, fine, or let us say if the rain is late, then it is a problem because the yield is going to be low. If the rain is too much, if the rain is too much, what is going to happen? The crops are going to get damage. And if the rain is, let us say, if the rain is happening is less quantity, if there is less rain, then what is going to happen? Again, there is going to be the damage, or you can say the crop failure. So all these, I would say, things, they hamper the productivity of the agriculture system. So that is why I said the agriculture is very much sensitive with respect to all such type of factors like soil, like air, like rain, also sort of things. So that is why when most of the, I would say a significant portion of the Indian agriculture comes under the rain-fed agriculture, so you can see that how much sensitive it is to these type of factors. Fine. So what we need to do, basically we need to move towards advancing better irrigation facilities in such type of regions. Fine. Now let us move on to the next point. The next point is regarding the limited access to technology and mechanization. Now this is, of course, we all know that this is a very significant point, because the adoption of modern farming techniques and mechanization is limited for small and marginal farmers, because you know the rich farmers, the big farmers, they can afford it. But what about the small and the marginal farmers? Because the machineries, the technology is not very much cheap. It is expensive. So because of the high cost of the machinery, the high cost that is there related to technology, the affordability capacity of the small and the marginal farmers is pretty much low, and that is why it becomes difficult for them to adopt such kind of modern farming techniques. So the techniques like drip irrigation, drones and heat tolerant seeds, this is, I would say, this has a huge scope. It has a huge potential to improve the efficiency of the farming system, but the other side of the coin is that it is largely inaccessible to the farmers. Fine, because of the multiple reasons that we have discussed. Now after that, the next point is that without mechanization, the farmers, what they cannot do, they cannot scale up the productions. If you talk about the states like Telangana and UP, if you talk about Punjab, Haryana, they have higher mechanization levels. Fine. So the agriculture productivity is higher in these states, whereas the other states, they lag behind. So this is the disparity with respect to the accessibility of technology and mechanization regarding the Indian agriculture system. Now the next point is regarding the inadequate infrastructure. We know that infrastructure is also a problem, be it regarding post-harvest infrastructure, or you know, the storage facilities or market linkages. So all these things, you know, the challenge arise because of the lack of the adequate infrastructure in the agriculture system. And what does it lead to? It leads to the losses during the harvest time, and it also reduces the efficiency of the overall supply chain. So this is another set of challenge with respect to the Indian agriculture system. Now let us move on to the body part 2, the second body part, which is regarding the government interventions. So the first government intervention, the step that the government has taken, is with respect to the crop diversification. Now we know that, I would say, the crop diversification can play a very important role with respect to the productivity, with respect to the yield of the agriculture system. And for this, what the government has done, the government has started bringing reforms with respect to the minimum support price. We all know what the minimum support price is, which ensure the stable income for the farmers. And what the government has done, basically, the government has very recently raised the MSP for essential crops such as the masoor and the rapeseed. So what will happen when the masoor crop and the rapeseed, where the MSP for such crops is going to get is going to get increased. So what is going to happen? Because of the increase in the MSP, the farmers are going to get high returns. They are going to get high remunerations. And because of this, it is going to incentivize the farmers. It is going to incentivize the farmers to diversify their crop. They won't be dependent on only those crops where MSP is, you know, the MSP rate is high. So what the government is doing, government is now promoting the higher MSP for the other crops also, so that farmers, they can diversify their crops. Fine. So this is the incentive that the farmers are going to get, and through this, the government is promoting what? The government is promoting diversification. Now after that, the point number 2, which is regarding the seed quality and fertilizer management. So regarding this, the economic survey talks about the different initiatives that have been taken by the government, because the government is focusing on new technologies like urea gold and fertigation. Now what do we mean by urea gold? Basically, urea gold combines urea and sulfur. Now what is going to be the advantage of that when the urea and sulfur are going to be combined? Basically, when the conventional urea is combined with sulfur, sulfur has some sort of differentiating property. It has unique property that it helps in better retention of nitrogen. It helps in the better retention of nitrogen in the soil. And when the nitrogen is able to get, get retained in the soil in an efficient manner, we know that nitrogen is very important for the crop development. So when there is better retention of nitrogen, so what it will lead to? It will lead to reduction in the volatilization of the nitrogen. Fine. This will lead to the less volatilization of the nitrogen, which basically means that there will be less loss of nitrogen in the atmosphere. And when there will be less volatilization, what will happen? It will help in the better retention. Now this retention was a problem with respect to the ordinary urea. So the urea gold has been able to solve this problem by combining the sulfur in it, and sulfur helps in that retention. So it helps to retain the nitrogen in the soil for a longer period of time. Fine, which of course helps in, I would say, in the better fertilization of the crops, and also helps in minimizing the wastage with respect to fertilizers. The next is regarding the fertigation. Now what do you mean by fertigation? Fertigation represents integrating fertilizers with irrigation system. So for example, let us say you are a farmer. Fine, this is you. Let us say you are a farmer, and let us say you have a big field to manage. So this is your field. You have a big field to manage. Now we know that in the field, let us say these are the type of crops, let us say A, B and C. So A crop has a different set of nutrient demands, nutrition demand. So the nutrition demand of this A crop is different. The nutrition demand for this B type of crops is different, and the nutrition demand for C type of crop is different. So with the help of fertigation, what you can basically do with the help of fertigation, rather than applying the fertilizers manually, what you can do basically, you can mix the fertilizers with the irrigation water. So when you will mix the fertilizer with the irrigation water, what will happen? You will be able to supply these fertilizers to these crops in a more efficient manner, and also in a more precise manner. So that is going to be the advantage of that. So you can set up different fertilizer formula for various sections of the fields. For example, this is section A, this is section B, and this is section C. So that's how you can set up different type of fertilizer formula for the different type of sections that are there in the field. By how? With the help of this fertigation technique, where you are going to mix the fertilizer with the irrigation water only. So you won't have to dependent on the manual approach. So that is the advantage of that. I hope the fertigation is also clear to you, which helps in optimizing the nutrient uptake and will reduce the wastage also. The next is what? Next is the PM Pranam, which is basically the program for restoration and awareness generation and nourishment and amelioration of Mother Earth, and it is a type of initiative that promote other type of alternative fertilizers, for example the nano urea. Now what is a nano urea? I would say it is a type of revolutionary fertilizer. It is a revolutionary fertilizer. Why I call it revolutionary? Because it is, the approach with respect to this nano urea is very much different from the conventional fertilizer. The thing about the nano urea is that basically the urea that is used as a part of this nano urea, it is nano sized. What do you mean by nano size? That the urea molecules are broken down into tiny molecules, and because of this, what happens? It allows better nutrition of urea in the soil, better absorption of urea in the soil. And apart from that, when the better absorption is going to be there, what is going to be the consequence? It is going to lead to less wastage with respect to fertilizer. So this is the advantage of nano urea that is there. There are other type of advantages also, but we are not entering into that. But this is, I would say, the biggest advantage with respect to the nano urea. Fine, and it was there in the news. I think 2 years back only, 2 to 3 years back only, it was very much there in the news, the nano urea. And I hope it is clear to you that how it enables to improve the soil health. Now the next point is regarding the water management and irrigation. Now what are the initiatives or the government interventions that have been taken with respect to water management and irrigation? So for this, the economic service says that from fiscal year 16 to 21, the irrigation coverage improved from 49.3% to 55% of gross crop area. Do you have to remember this data? My suggestion is yes. This is an important data which talks about the improvement in the irrigation facilities, and you must remember that. Now it says that the government has promoted water efficiency through different type of initiatives like per crop more drop, the facilities like micro irrigation, and the micro irrigation fund. Now what is micro irrigation fund? Basically it provides financial support. It provides financial support to farmers to implement the micro irrigation technologies. So if there is a farmer who wants to implement this micro irrigation technology, so through this micro irrigation fund, we can provide him the financial support. Fine. And under this, the government offers the interest subsidies. So the interest subsidies or loan that are taken by the farmers in order to install such micro irrigation system, and there's 2% subsidies provided for such purpose as a part of this micro irrigation fund. I hope it is clear to you how it is helping in water management and irrigation. The next point is regarding the agricultural credit. So as per the economic survey, it talks about different type of initiatives that have basically played important role with respect to the accessibility of credit in the agricultural system. So it says that adequate credit access is a key to enhancing productivity. The schemes like Kisan Credit Card, we all know the purpose of Kisan Credit Card. Then along with it, the Modified Interest Subvention Scheme. Now what is this MIS, which is Modified Interest Subvention Scheme? Basically, it provides loan to farmers. It provides loan to farmers at the interest rate of 7%. Fine. So it provides loans to farmers for at the interest rate of 7%. And if that certain farmer repays the loan, if the certain farmer repays the loan on time, so what is going to happen? Now the government is going to give 3% subsidy to that farmer. So if you have taken the loan, the interest that is going to be charged is 7%. But if you pay that, repay that loan on time, the government is going to provide you 3% support. So if you're somebody who is repaying the loan on time, so you will have to pay 7% minus 3%, which is the 4% interest rate only with respect to that loan. So this is the advantage of this modified interest subvention scheme. I hope it is clear to you, which offers affordable loans to farmers. After that, it also gets coupled with the Kisan Rin portal. Basically, it streamlines the loan application for the farmers. Fine. So the loan application process for the farmers with the help of this Kisan Rin portal. So it speeds up the transaction and access to credit. Now, all these initiatives, which is Kisan Credit Card, as well as the MIS and also the Kisan Rin portal, all this type of initiatives, basically they reduce the reliance of farmers on the non-institutional credit. Fine. On the non-institutional credit. So what basically is the advantage? They are able to get the credit, and if they are able to do timely payment, they are going to get incentives with respect to that. And in the conclusion is that basically at the end it leads to less reliance on the non-institutional credit. Fine. So that is the idea. Now the point number 5. Now, before point number 5, there is another point which is regarding the insurance. So this is an easy point, which is regarding the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, which provide the insurance coverage of crops against a natural disaster, pest attacks or diseases. Fine. So it provides some kind of financial security to the farmers. Fine. So this is also an important initiative that has basically helped the farmers to have access to the credit. The next point is regarding the market infrastructure and price discovery. So for here we have the agriculture market infrastructure sub scheme. Basically it is a type of scheme that supports the development of storage and post harvest system. So basically as a part of this AMI scheme, which is agriculture marketing infrastructure scheme, this enables to increase the agriculture, I would say, the infrastructure for the storage. Apart from that, for the grading as well as for the post-harvest management. So these are, I would say, the primary priorities with respect to the agriculture marketing infrastructure sub-scheme. Fine. So that is the idea regarding it. Apart from that, what do we have? We have the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund also and the ENAM scheme also. I hope you know about the ENAM scheme. Basically, it is an online trading platform that basically connects the farmers and the traders across the country. So if there is a farmer, let us say farmer X, so let us say he wants to sell his crop. So what he can do through the ENAM platform, he can search for the different markets anywhere in the country, and he can sell his products to these markets. Fine. Whatever suits him, here on the basis of that he can sell the products, and it also enables the better price discovery for the farmers with the help of this ENAM scheme, the ENAM online system that is there. So this is regarding the improvement of the market infrastructure and the better price discovery with respect to the agriculture system. I hope it is clear to you. Now the last, which is the conclusion. Now this conclusion I have taken directly from the economic survey only. Economic survey has talked about this as a part of the conclusion, so I've copy pasted that conclusion so that you get a more authentic version of that. So basically, India's agriculture sector is crucial for economic growth and food security despite challenges like climate change and water scarcity. So it has remained resilient, driven by government initiatives that boost the productivity and support of farmers' welfare. Now what India need to do as a way forward, in order to unlock agriculture's full potential, India must address issues like overproduction of cereals, underproduction of pulses and edible oils, and improve policies on soil health, price risk and water use. And this will help in boosting the productivity and will enhance the food security both at the domestic level as well as at the global level. So this is something that is the conclusion, the way forward that has been provided as far as the India's agriculture system is concerned. Fine. Now the next thing, the data summary. So this is more relevant for the NABARD student, but some type of data can be taken by the RBI students also, because agriculture is also a small component of your syllabus. So you can see I've added a syllabus, I've added the data. I'm not going to, I would say, read all the points because this is just factual information. So you can see agriculture contribution to GDP. What is the GDP contribution? Then the growth performance on an annual basis, then the income growth, then the sector diversity. So India accounts for 11.6% of global cereal output, but crops yield are below the global average. So you can write it as one of the important issues with respect to Indian agriculture system. Fine. So this adds a good value to your answer. Then the floriculture industry, we have a point which is relevant for the NABARD. Then the irrigation and water management, we have an important data. Then we have data regarding agriculture credit also, which is regarding Kisan credit card has reached rupees 9.81 lakh crore as of March 2024. Then the fishery sector also, which is important for NABARD. Then the climate change and adaptation, food security, climate mechanization, government schemes for support, PM Kisan and PM KMY, which provide direct income support to the farmers. So how many farmers have been covered? You have data regarding that. Then we have data regarding the storage infrastructure. There was other type of data also. A lot of data is there. Of course, it is economic survey, but I just prefer to choose that type of data which I find important and which I thought you should definitely add to your notes. Fine. Apart from that, if you find other type of data that you think is important, you can add that also. But this is the minimum I would say you must do. So this is especially for the NABARD student. For the RBI, yes, the data is important, but यहाँ से आप थोड़ा selective लेना, क्योंकि agriculture आपका बहुत ही, I would say, एक restrictive component है. Now let us move on to the budget. You can also make a note of this budget, I would say, initiatives with respect to agriculture system. So the budget talks about Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana, then the mission for Atmanirbharta and Pulses, Makhana board in Bihar, and enhanced credit through Kisan credit card. Now all these things I have already discussed in my budget session. So if you have not watched it, please watch it. There I have explained all these things, what is Makhana board, then regarding the significance of pulses, what challenges India is facing regarding pulses, and what is I would say the budget, what does the budget talk about it. So all these things we have already discussed. Here I have just mentioned it so that in case you want some keywords for your answer, you can add it to your notes. Fine. Well, the budget I would say initiatives regarding the agriculture system. Now this is the question, the answer of which you have to write in the comment box. So do write it within 48 hours if you want it to get evaluated, and you have to write your answer within 600 words, which will carry 15 marks. Fine. And do write answers, because of course it is going to help you in the long run. Don't be lazy. So that is it. Any doubt, any questions, you can ask in the chat box. So there is nothing in the chat box. So fine. So now I'm ending the session, but before that there is an answer blueprint. Fine. So I forgot to tell you, I share it in all my sessions. So basically you have to write your answer dividing into introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Introduction should be around 10 to 12% of the total word limit. The same rule for the conclusion also, and rest of the word limit should be dedicated to the body part. Fine. And you will write the body in the form of heading and different subheadings. Under it you will write your relevant points that you will try to substantiate using either data, facts, or examples. So that is the idea regarding answer blueprint that I want you to follow in your answers that you are writing in the comment box as well as in the examination. And this is, I would say, the EduTap blogs, where you will find different informative articles for a range of competitive exams like RBI, NABARD, UPSC, then IRDI, NPS, and whatnot. Different range of competitive exams. And what you can do, you can follow these blogs that will help in your preparation. So thank you so much and all the best. Now with your permission, I'm ending the session.